Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know I am your hostess with the mostest, Miss J, aka Miss Simone Jackson, here to bring you guys another wonderful episode of the J Lounge. Of course, everyone knows we are a celebrity-based podcast show where we talk with entertainers, directors, actors, singers, you name it, they all come down here and we all have a great time. As per normal, I'm super excited to be introducing my next guest. My next guest is an award-winning filmmaker based in Los Angeles. They are also the recipient of the Lorene Arbus Disability Awareness Grant. I cannot wait for you guys to hear more about her work and her films. Please, everyone, give a super warm welcome to Faith Strongheart. Hey, Faith.
Hi,
How
thank
are you?
you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you giving us your time today.
I am doing well. It's raining.
Yes, it was raining, snowing, and then hailing over here. So I'm just wondering what my weather's gonna do next. It's it's crazy. All right, Faith. Well, since we are on here, I'm gonna go ahead and fire the first question at you. What began your passion for filmmaking?
Well, when I was young, a teenager, I was really interested in photography, and I had a camera. I got gifted a camera when I was 15, and I started photographing and took pictures. And then when my first year of college I was at NYU, and I took a photography class there, and weirdly, my work study job was at the Avery Center for Music and Media, which is at the library at NYU. And my job was specifically, this is going to really age me, but the film students would come in and watch VHS, or at the time, laser discs were like the new technology, their films that they were required to watch. And so I was being exposed through that to films that these film students were watching, and met a filmmaker in the program through that job, who then introduced me to a lot of films that I had never heard of or seen. And when I first went, he took me to this double feature film now I think they just do plays there, but at the time it was a movie theater on St. Mark's called the St. Mark's Theater, and it was a double feature Fellini film. And I remember watching it and thinking, oh my goodness, you can have these crazy thoughts and ideas in your head, and you can put that into an artistic form. And it made sense to me, sort of for the first time, that I could have a form of expression that matched what I was experiencing internally. And so then I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to become a filmmaker. How do I do it? And that's kind of where and how I got my first desire. And then from there, it was just, that's it.
Oh my goodness. And I know you just took a reel back mentioning VH1s. I know this new generation, they don't know nothing about VH1s, which I feel like is completely unfair. I feel like everyone should go through the VH1 phase, rewinding a movie fully before you have to press play. So yeah. Oh my goodness. You brought me back to another time, Faith, another simpler time.
Seriously. I remember my friend at that same year, she said, you should try this thing called email. It's really cool. And I thought, why would I go all the way to the computer lab to email you when I can just walk over and see you?
Oh my goodness. Not the email. That's awesome. Why would I? I'll just come over here to see you. Much easier.
Exactly.
Going on to the next question. As a filmmaker, what type of story brings to the forefront?
The stories that I like to tell and what I'm interested in, I'm really interested in stories about women and children, and stories about people, specifically, those two groups and families who are experiencing hardship and who persevere and overcome to a certain extent. I feel like a lot of stories that we don't see are the smaller stories of just your average person surviving life. And so I'm really interested in those types of stories and how people do that.
Oh, I agree. I agree, and I love that. I love that. I think those are always important stories to bring to the forefront. We need more of it, and I feel like 2023 is going to be the boom of where we see just more stories of that. Women,
Yeah.
children, all of that different type of stories that still haven't been told yet. So I'm looking forward to that. I know everyone who's listening is looking forward to that as well. Going on to the next question, Faith. Name three people who influenced your career and why.
I would say first would be the filmmaker and poet Jonas Mekas, who did my undergraduate thesis film on him, a short documentary, and he ran the anthology film archives in New York on Second Avenue. I think it's on Second Avenue, and I forget the cross street, but um, I first saw his films. He made these films called diary films, and he always shot on 16 millimeter, and they were really like documenting life kind of as he saw it. And then he used a really interesting technique in camera to get this kind of almost an internal editing while he was shooting that was really very special and unique. And when I saw his films, they really resonated with me because he saw life as it was unfolding, and I'm really interested in, as just with the stories I want to tell as well, just how life really is. And then
Mm-hmm.
I met him. I asked him, I called him up and said, hey, I want to make a film about you. And I went and spent time with him, and I ended up working for him for a while, and we became friends and stayed friends until he passed. And he had a big influence on me because he was an artist, he was a poet, and he never once in his life gave that up, right? He lived that existence throughout his whole life, and he wasn't necessarily extremely recognized until later. Right before he died, he was in the Whitney Biennial, and he got a lot of attention right before he died. But his influence then led me into an interest in neorealism and
Mm-hmm.
um, other types of cinema that really resonated with me. And then there was a particular film that I watched, and I had took this early class in Eastern European cinema, and we watched this film by called Intimate Lighting, and it was by Ivan Pasar. He was a Czechoslovakian filmmaker, and it's a very little known film. His classmate was Milos Forman, who became very successful and came to America. And Ivan Pasar was invited also, and he came to America, but didn't end up staying. But his film was very much like that. It's like he set up the camera and just sort of watched life unfold. It's a very small story, but I was really struck by it because I felt really like it was profound to me that we could
Yeah.
document kind of life. And so I would say Jonas sort of was the first person who turned me on to that. And then, in my directing career, because soon after I graduated from undergrad, I started working in film production, and I continued working in film production. I still work in film production to this day. And so there's been many people, obviously, who I've met along the way who have been extremely supportive of my work journey, right? And then in terms of my directing career, there's a good friend and producer that I know. She now works with she was at Netflix, now she's back at Amblin Entertainment, and she and I worked together on a couple films. Her name's Michelle Brotson Majors, and she produced my second year film at UCLA. And she's just been a champion of mine because she's somebody who recognizes that, yes, I have this life in production that I've worked professionally, and really supports me pursuing my career as a director. And so she's definitely been somebody who's championed me and who has really believes in me, I think. And I would say career-wise, other people who've influenced me I also worked for an undergrad, Gene Youngblood. He also passed away, but he did a whole series on, um, well, he wrote a book on video art, um,
Hmm.
back in the 70s. But in his class, I took this experimental cinema course with him, and I saw so many films that I never would have seen if I hadn't been in that class. And to me, that was really, really special, because it's one thing to, understand story and structure and narrative, but it's another thing to just see how artists put images and sound together. And so I
Hmm.
found that really influential as well, in that particular class. And then obviously in my graduate career, I took a course with Barry Primus. He's an actor, and he taught directing for or acting for directors. And that was really powerful, because one of the things I really needed to get comfortable with as a director was how to direct actors. And I didn't really understand the actors' language. And so Barry Primus really gave me tools to feel confident in directing actors by experiencing what it's like to be an actor, right? And feel vulnerable and feel like, okay, I'm putting my trust into this person's hands. And then me as a director feeling really responsible for that trust, and not wanting to break it. So that was highly influential. And then in my graduate career, I took a course with also Gyula Gazdag, who was a Hungarian filmmaker, and he runs this is I don't think he runs specifically, but he's heavily involved in the Sundance Labs. And I took a bunch of courses with him. He was my second year advisor. But one class I took with him was the moving master class about, completing a scene in one shot, and really just learning a lot from him and watching films with him about how you can accomplish what you need to with your camera with precision and accuracy if you really plan it out. And so he was a big influence as well, just in terms of my directing career. And then definitely in my professional life, there's many people that I encounter who are highly supportive and championing
Yeah,
me as
I
as
get
a
you. I
filmmaker.
get you. Yeah, I get you. Those are amazing influences, though. That is amazing, and they've obviously really helped shape, your eye as a director and a filmmaker. And I could definitely hear the passion. So it sounds like you had, one hell of a great influences on your career.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm super grateful. I've had really excellent opportunities and met such incredible people. And not to mention, working in film production, I work around incredible directors and producers all the time who I'm constantly learning from, of, oh, this is how you could do a shot, or this is how you could tell this particular story. And I get to read current screenplays all the time of the films that I work on. And so I feel really lucky.
How cool is that? And how fun. How absolutely fun. Just reading the different scripts. I just, want to be a pull from that. That's awesome. That is awesome. Going on to the next question. What was your reaction to being the recipient of the Lorraine Arbus Disability Grant?
I was surprised when I
Yeah.
received it. And then I was extremely grateful because, I received it for this documentary I'm making about my family and how I became disabled as an infant by getting really severely burned in a campfire. And I started making the documentary during my last year of graduate school at UCLA. And I still kick myself for not finishing it while I was still in school, because I think I underestimated just how challenging it is to finish a documentary, because it's a huge undertaking, especially a feature documentary. And so every little bit of funding helps, because it's hard to come by. And so I was so grateful, because it just put my film that much further ahead in the post-production process, because I'm still in post in it. So it was exhilarating and exciting, and I was extremely grateful.
Amazing. And I'm loving the fact that more filmmakers, directors, and stories are being sent around with people with disabilities. It's been, people with disabilities, their stories have been put in the back burner for ever. It's just now, recently in recent years that, finally their stories are being demanded to be told. And it's about time. I think, Hollywood is slowly but surely making those strides towards that. But I think it's great that, you made a documentary about your family. I have people in my family with disabilities who love to see, films that they can relate to because, 99 times they can't. So it's just powerful, and I appreciate you, you know, telling your story and being one of those that brings the disabilities, stories to the forefront because it needs to be
Thank
told.
you. Thank you. I
Absolutely.
have to say, I known that it would have, I mean, it's been such a powerful experience because it's this very autobiographical film, and I didn't really understand the how incredibly challenging it would be to make this film about myself and my life, but also how liberating, right? Because I've never spoken about my disability or really,
Hmm.
I think a lot of people will relate to this, and this is in the film, just about wanting to keep it hidden, which I think is a real problem, right, in the world of disability. And so just being
Yes.
able to completely vulnerably expose myself to the world has been very exciting and thrilling and scary and powerful. And I think that I'm really, really, really excited for this film to be finished because I think it's going to really resonate with a lot of people, not just in the disability world, but just who have families, who have challenges in life, and who have, just had unique experiences, and who have mothers, which we all do. So
Yeah, it's absolutely, absolutely. And I hope, my audience, I encourage you to see the documentary film if you can. And for anyone who hasn't, I highly encourage you, you guys, open up your minds and hearts to people with disability and their stories. Because, you'll be shocked, you'll be surprised, and then you honestly will feel you'll root them on, honestly. So make sure you guys definitely check them out. All right, going on to the next question. Where, Faith, I want to make sure my audience keeps up with you and your work. Where are you on social media?
at Faith Strongheart, that's where you can find me. Those are my handles on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I update all of those, with all my film news. And then I have a website that's faithstrongheart.com. So it's pretty easy.
Perfect. Perfect. Alrighty. And then I highly encourage my audience, make sure you go follow Faith on her social media platforms and check out more of her movies and work as well. Going on to the next question. What future projects are you involved with that you can dish about to the J Lounge audience?
Sorry, can you repeat that? It got a
Yeah,
little cut off.
yeah, absolutely. So what future projects are you involved with that you can give a little dish about to the J Lounge audience?
Professionally, I just finished a bunch of films this past couple of years that are coming out soon. I just completed a reshoot for this film called Borderlands, which is based on a video game that's going to be coming out um, probably at the end of this year, if not early next year. I don't know what the release date is. And then I did also the action unit for the Madam Web movie with Sony. That's the
Ooh,
female
how
Spider-Man
exciting!
story. So those are, I get involved in some pretty interesting projects in my production work. And then in my personal work, I'm really focused on finishing this documentary. And then I have a TV show that I am pitching that's based on also growing up in Santa Fe, New Mexico, about two teenage girls. And then I just had a screening of my thesis film from UCLA in Santa Fe. I shot it in New Mexico, and that's a proof of concept for a feature that I wrote that I want to get made. So
Ooh, it sounds like you got some super exciting projects. Ooh, Madam Web. Okay, you definitely got to keep us here at the G Lounge posted. That's super exciting. I know that's a highly talked about, highly anticipated film. So make sure any updates, we are dying here to know. We got to know.
okay.
All right. Going on to the next question. All right. What goals do you hope to accomplish in your career that you haven't yet?
I mean, I want to become a paid working director. That's what I hope to accomplish. So I'm hoping that, through all of my professional contacts plus my hard work trying to get my work out there, that I eventually am not having to work in production, that then serves me in terms of how I work as a director, but that I am a paid working director. So that's what I'm really aiming towards in my career.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. I love it. I love it. Goals to inspire by. Really, goals
Yes.
to be inspired by. All righty. Going on to the next question. Faith, in your own words, what's been some of the most rewarding moments in your career?
Um, let's see. There was a really I really loved the film Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix that James Mangold directed. I thought it was a beautiful film, and just my family, I have a bunch of musicians in my family, so I'm really interested in films about musicians, and also the fact that he was really struggled with addiction, because that's been part of my family history. And so I loved that film. I thought it was beautifully done. And so later I worked on a movie with James Mangold called 3:10 to Yuma. And I was very excited to work with him and watch him work, and had him sign my Walk the Line DVD. I was probably his only real big fan on set, but that was really exciting. And I did a movie once with Sam Shepard, and he was definitely, I grew up reading his plays, watching my mom perform in his plays because she was an actress. And so meeting him and being able to work with him was also a huge highlight. And I had him sign a book of my plays that my mom had gifted me. And I have to say, as a director and a filmmaker, when I write something and I have a vision for something, and then I get to the point of shooting it and editing it, to see my vision, how I've envisioned it, come to life on the screen is so rewarding, because that is what I think everybody who wants to make films dreams of, right? That you have this idea in your head, and then you get together with all these incredibly creative people, explain what you're trying to do, and then it actually happens. That has to be the biggest reward, I think.
It does. I agree. I agree. It's the most rewarding moment. I 100% agree with that. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. All right, Faith, has got one more question for you. For what advice would you give for aspiring filmmakers who are hoping to be as successful as you?
Don't give up. I mean, you have to really want it, and you have to persevere. I think that is true to, we're really wanting to make it in this. And then, when I was in graduate school, I remember during my first year, my very wise instructor, Becky Smith, said, you have to decide right now what you want to get out of this program, and you have to make it happen. And I took that to heart, and I really, made sure that I got what I needed to out of that program. And then she also said, success is strange in the way that it works. It doesn't happen the way that you might see somebody who you think is totally set up for success not necessarily end up becoming a director or doing what you thought that they would be doing. And then those people that you didn't think would maybe be extremely successful in directing end up becoming successful. So she said, it doesn't really, you have to just focus on what your path is and not focus on other people around you. And I think that that's really important. Well, at the same time, championing, there's that difficult word again.
I love it.
Really supporting the people who are your collaborators and your colleagues, right? Because everybody's on their own journey. And I wouldn't get caught up in envy or jealousy. Just focus on your own journey and what you're doing and why you're doing it, and really stay focused and just persevere and don't give up. And stay creative because filmmaking is expensive. And so making films is expensive. So when you're not, in the luxurious program, like a graduate program or an undergraduate program where you have access to make it, or you're not getting money to make something, stay creative by writing, by shooting whatever you can, by, staging a scene. Just stay active and creative and stimulated so that you can continue to be inspired, I think, as an artist and a filmmaker. But certainly perseverance. You got to want it. You got to stick with it. And it will
I
happen
mm-hmm.
in
I
surprising ways, right? It will happen in surprising ways.
it happens in ways that we always have an idea, right, of how our success, individual success would look like and how we get there. But sometimes it looks a different way. And as you just said, it comes in surprising ways.
Yes.
So yeah, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
And also I've been really thinking about how we measure success, right? And what that looks like, because it can look like very different things at different times, and it doesn't have to be the big wins and the big awards to necessarily feel like success.
Exactly. Exactly. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Oh, Faith, you have been amazing to speak with. I'm so glad my audience will get to learn about you, your work, your passion, and what you want to continue to bring to the forefront, movies wise. And I appreciate you giving me your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yes, you've been absolutely just absolute pleasure to be able to speak with, and I cannot wait for my audience to learn more about you, get to see more of your work, and we can't wait to see more of what you do. Again, make sure you definitely keep us posted with the Madam Web. We definitely want, here at the J Lounge, we definitely want to get, you know, posts and updates and all that kind of stuff because I'm excited for the film. So make sure you
Sounds
do
good.
that. Yeah. Of course, you guys know I've been your hostess with the mostest, Miss J, aka Miss Simone Jackson, bringing you guys another wonderful episode of the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know to follow my amazing guest, Faith Strongheart, on all social media platforms. Check out her work. And yes, of course, you guys know I'll be back with another great episode here soon. Till then, everyone, stay beautiful, stay wonderful, and I'll be back. Bye.